All right, good morning, everyone in the room as well as over Zoom. We will go ahead and get started. For those I haven't met, at least over Zoom, I'm Noah Comerford. I serve as the President and CEO here at the Latino Chamber of Commerce. So welcome. I'm glad you were able to take some time out of your morning to be here for a really informative workshop with Wally and Josh. Before we get started with their presentation, let's go around the room and introduce ourselves. So I'll start here in the back.
My name is Antoinette Solano. I'm the Assistant Banking Center Manager at Community Bank of Colorado.
Freddie Martinez, Farmers Insurance.
Christina Nolan, Edward Jones.
Darius Goshi, I wear a couple of hats, but today I'm representing the Caring Pregnancy Center as their Men's and Development Director. And then I have a small tech company here in Canyon and Pueblo.
Welcome. The folks over Zoom, can you hear us okay?
Yep.
Rebecca, let's go ahead and have you introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Rebecca Diaz. I'm a commercial lender with Frontier Bank and manager.
Thank you. What about, I see Cameron on Zoom as well. Cameron, can you hear us okay?
Yes, hear you great. Sorry, I run the business recycling drop-off down at Front Range Transload.
All right, and last but not least, I see Tori Hubbard. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you please introduce yourself for the room? Tori, did we lose you? Can you introduce yourself real quick to the workshop room? It looks like she just muted, so we'll go back to her. But let's please give a warm welcome to Josh and Wally with Pueblo Means Business. And can you both give a background of yourselves individually?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start. My name is Wally Wallace. I am the Pueblo Means Business Manager. We're a division of Pueblo County Planning and Development. Prior to stepping into this role, I was Economic Development Specialist at Pueblo West for about 1.5 years. And before that, I was Economic Development Director in Trinidad, Colorado for about 5 years. I'm from Colorado. I've lived all over the state. In Durango, that's where I went to college. But grew up in Colorado Springs. Most of my background before stepping into economic development and government roles was actually in film, television, radio. So did a lot of film production, worked at radio stations for a number of years, and did a few TV projects, but have been doing economic development for about 8 years now. And we can talk more about this program after Dan do a little introductions.
My name is Josh Martinez. I'm the Pueblo Means Business Coordinator. I've been with Pueblo Means Business since January. Born and raised here in Pueblo. Went to school up in Boulder and then down here at CSU Pueblo. The civil engineering degree. So I worked civil engineering for about 11 years, and then went into education, was a teacher, and then account management for ed tech companies. Before moving back here, I lived in Austin, Texas for 14 years and then decided to come home and be closer to family, and found this position working with Wally, and it's amazing to see and to be a part of the growth of Pueblo and Pueblo County again.
And Miss, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, yeah, I'm Lucretia Robinson, lifetime member, community person, resident, whatever, in Pueblo for all my life. Went to all District 60 schools. Got my degree in law enforcement communication, public speaking, and at PCC and USC. And I don't know what else.
That was good. Perfect.
Okay, good.
All right,
That's
Wally,
it.
Josh, take it away.
All right, great. How many of you have any familiarity with Pueblo Means Business at all?
Excuse me.
Pueblo Means Business. Great. Glad I can let you know about it. And also the thing is, just a brief history about Pueblo Means Business and what it originally was it was actually an initiative created by both the city and the county to help make development easier for people who were coming to bring businesses into the county. I'm already automatically having some issues. But let's see if this helps. Oh, that didn't help. Sorry, the clicker wasn't working. There we go, cool. So there was a big. The city and the county were getting a lot of feedback, the developers were coming here to do projects. And they were just getting lost in the process, and they didn't know who to contact, whether it's city agency, a county agency, Pueblo West, etc. And they decided they needed to figure out a way to streamline it, make everybody work more clearly together, so that was less of an issue. So they created Pueblo Means Business with the intention of having all of these agencies move into one building, be able to find everybody, create this one-stop shop. For anyone to come who's doing development here and be able to be walked through the process. That worked out the way that they wanted it to, and that the city decided they didn't want to move into that building. But it still remains our goal to try and make the process easier for everybody and to, yeah, just assist people who are looking to invest money in Pueblo, that they're able to do that and not get turned away by just the confusion of trying to do it. So I wasn't with Pueblo Means Business with its founding. It started about 5 years ago, and when the previous Pueblo Means Business manager was promoted to a deputy director of planning and development, they reached out to me and asked me to apply for this role. And so I've been with Pueblo Means Business for about 1.5 years now. And since that time, our mission has changed a lot. Like I said, it's still very dedicated to customer service for developers who are moving to this community. But on top of that, we also run the enterprise zone program that we'll be touching on in a little bit. And Josh is actually our enterprise zone administrator for Pueblo County. And that's a beneficial program that's throughout the state. There's different enterprise zones where people can apply for tax credits for investments that they're making in their company or into nonprofits, where they can get tax credit or returns based on what they're investing their money in for their business. So we'll touch more on that. We also are the liaisons coordinators for the Brock Business Loan Program. And what that is the county receives community development block grant funds from the federal government that we are allowed to allocate to businesses who can't receive loan funding for some reason. So with some of you being with banks and investment agencies, that's the one that probably might be the most beneficial for this group. And the way is that works is, if anyone comes to you looking for a business fund or a business loan, and you're either unable to loan to them just in general, but still want to find a way to support them, or you're able to provide funding, but it doesn't meet the amount of funding they need, we can step in and provide gap funding to bridge that gap and help them get what they need to get their business going. So yeah, that, again, I'll touch more on all that later. I'm going to start with our ambassador program, or our Pueblo Means Business. This is our side that has us working with developers. And to be honest, this is our biggest job. This is the job that we're doing every day, where the other ones are kind of on like a case-by-case basis of people coming to us. And so our primary role right now is when somebody comes here to do a project, we want to make sure they know exactly what the roadmap is to take their concept to completion. And these are the 3 different ways that we do that. For commercial businesses, we have a process called sketch plan review. For all permits, whether they're commercial or residential, we track where those permits are, seeing if there's anything that's getting hung up, and we step in to try and help them with that. And then a development liaison is just we're kind of a couple. There's actually 4 of us that are in our department. I'm the manager, Josh the coordinator. We also have a public works representative who specifically helps with road, bridge, infrastructure issues, and then we have a permit tech who works directly with customers. And between the four of us, we just about know the development process within Pueblo better than anybody. And even people that are in the process, like you might find that you're working with the Metro District or the planning department, and they know exactly what the planning department needs to do, but they may have no idea what the fire department needs to do or what somebody else does. And so it's kind of our job to know the entire process and also know all the people to contact. So if somebody is stuck somewhere, we know exactly who to call and figure out how to get them unstuck or whatnot. So this, actually, let me go back because the video I put in it didn't actually work. But this is just a brief video that our public relations person for the city put together this week. So I figured this is a great chance to play it if I can figure out how to put it on the big screen. Hi, I'm Wally Wallace. I'm the Pueblo Means Business Manager for Pueblo County here in the Planning and Development Department. And I just wanted to tell you all about our new program, the PMB Ambassador Program. This is a new mission of Pueblo Means Business that is set on making the permitting process easier for the public, where as soon as a building permit is pulled and they're told to connect with planning and development to get their zoning authorization for that building permit, we have one of our PMB ambassadors that is assigned to that permit and offers support to the customers throughout the entire permitting process. We just communicate with the customers the whole way to make sure that they're not getting stuck anywhere, to make sure that the agencies are responding to them in a timely fashion. The easiest way to find out more information about the Pueblo Means Business Ambassador Program is to visit our website, pueblomeansbusiness.com. If you need any additional help, give us a call at 709-583-6100. If at any point you are in the building process and need any support, just call us or send us an email and we're happy to help however we can.
Pueblo Means Business is your go-to resource for contractors, property owners, and businesses. Whether you're looking for permitting support or valuable business resources, we're here to help you get it done.
All right, so I know most of that I just already told you, but I figured there's a good chance to play the video since you put all the work into it. Make sure my clicker's still working. Okay, so like I said, for our ambassador program for our development assistants, the main three things you do, this is the first one, sketch plan review. And what this is, it's a pre-development application process where a developer or anybody who has a concept for a business or a subdivision can come to us. All they need to give us is a letter of request, so just a letter basically explaining what it is they're trying to build, and a site plan. The site plan doesn't need to be anything done by an engineer or architect. We always say you can draw it on a napkin with a crayon. We just want some sort of visual element of what it is you're trying to create. We take that letter of request, we take that site plan, we find out who all of the permitting authorities are over the address where you're trying to do that project. And we send that to every representative of all those agencies. And so here you can see, these are all of the different agencies we're working with and pulling into these meetings depending on where the project is. So there's those three at the top, they're always involved with every meeting we have. But all of the ones in orange are the ones that we have to determine, like, should they be brought into this one or not? So we send it out to everyone that needs to be on it, and then basically we have a 2-week time. We receive the applications from the person. We're able to spend those first couple days figuring out who needs to be involved in that meeting. We give them the entire next week after that to go through the plans, the site plan, the letter of request, the property information that the planning and development department pulls up on that property. We can recognize if there's already any existing zoning violations or anything like that. And then we have the meeting 2 weeks after the application is submitted. And then we have 2 days after the meeting where we can go in and make any changes to the directions we're giving, the comments we're giving, based on what we learned during that meeting. And then the Friday after the meeting, we actually send them a packet that has all of the, like, basically a step-by-step guide on how they take their project and build it and actually get to a finished thing that they can open for business. And in that packet, it includes contact information for all the agencies in case they get stuck anywhere along the way. It has links to every application they need to fill out. And so it just makes it really easy for them to know exactly what they need to do. Which was the complaint we were always getting from people. I think the biggest issue we ran into with people that were doing development projects, they said submit a permit to regional building to start building. And they thought like that's all they needed to do. Because they didn't get a lot of clear direction that they actually need to go to all these different routing agencies and have them approve their permit before they'll actually send it out. So you have people that apply for a permit and then they'd sit there for 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden they call them like, why haven't you approved my permit yet? It's like, oh, well, you didn't do the applications. I'm like, what are you talking about? I submitted for my permit. What else do I need to do? And we're the ones that at this point, we're actually just reaching out to them, giving them exact directions on how to get things done. That way they're not delayed and blaming us when they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And so, so that takes us to the permit tracking. Sketch plan review is only something we do for commercial developments. For residential developments, duplexes are smaller, they're not required to go through that process, they just need to get a permit. But even with those, they still run into the same issues, that they pull the permit, they don't know where to go from there. And so we help walk them through the process. So this is basically a very general rundown of what we do when somebody puts in a permit. They request it with the regional building department. The first step that's put on their routing sheet for the permit is they have to get zoning authorization from the planning and development department. When they apply for that, that's when we assign one of our ambassadors to work with them. We then take, we introduce ourselves to them, just let them know we're here to help them, the whole process. We then take their permit and we look at everybody that's on that routing sheet, make sure that they know everything that they need to do for that routing sheet. And we also reach out to the agencies to make sure that they're aware that they need to do something for that sheet. We make sure that the permit gets approved. After the permit gets approved, we just send them another note saying, hey, your permit's good to go, but please know, like, we're still here to help you if you get stuck anywhere along the way. And then with a lot of projects, they may get approved for the permit, but their CEO is contingent on them actually following through on the things they say that they're gonna do when applying for the permit. And so a lot of times you'll have contractors, they get the permit, they're racing to get this project done, they tell the business owner we can be open on Monday, we're getting our CO on Friday. And they go get their CO and like, oh, we didn't do all your backgrounding. So they're pissed because they have to tell the customer that they can't open for business. And so we're just really trying to make sure that along the whole process, they remember, like, you still need to do this background. Like, you need to do this, don't put it off to the last minute and like get mad that you can't open when you want to. And so we track that and let them know what they need to do to get that, so they can get their final CO. Like I've touched on a couple times, the biggest thing is just communication. They don't know who to reach out to. A lot of these agencies aren't necessarily that great at responding to people. I have a issue that I'm dealing with right now that I'm trying to get instructions to somebody who's doing a development in the city. And I send an email to the regional building department asking them to give them instructions on how to do it and to CC me on it, so I knew for future reference. And then they didn't ever actually respond to that person, they only responded to me, and they didn't even really give good directions, and but I thought they were good, and 2 weeks later I find out they still haven't told them what they need to know. And so we're just trying to make sure that we're improving communication all the time. The biggest change that's going on in Pueblo County right now, and it also is impacting the city, is the county just decided to separate from the regional building department and build their own building division within the county. And a big part of that reason was because we just kept running into these communication breakdowns between the different departments. We're on different software. We're now the county's trying to bring it all into one software where everything is step by step, very clear on where you need to go, very clear where everything is at, with the hopes that less people get lost in that process. And we're also some of the key people working with them to build that new division. But at the same time, also trying to make sure that regional and the city are okay with. Without the county being involved in it and everything, which. Is what. Takes up most of our time right now, is buildings, the division and seeing how it impacts everybody else. So that's what I have on the ambassador program. Does anyone have any questions on that before we move on to enterprise zone?
Do you have these slides that we can look at, or, I'm curious for some of them, and maybe not all of them, but some of them are helpful.
Yeah, no, I can definitely send this to you afterwards. I got your card right here. And I can send it on to Noah. Actually, Noah already has it, so he can forward it on to all of you too.
Okay.
And yeah, again, if you guys have any questions, or if you have a developer that just wants to know what it's like to do a project here. I'd say that we're probably the best people to connect them with, to like, let them know how the process goes and, yeah, just can help walk them through it. Again, we'll move on to enterprise zone now, but if you think of any additional questions about this one, you can ask them at the end of the whole presentation.
Yeah, so again, welcome to everybody on Zoom also. Enterprise Zone program, is a great program that we work with, the Office of Economic Development and International Trade with OEDIT in, at the state level, you know, state level of Colorado. You'll see here all the different enterprise zones that are throughout, Colorado. You have Pueblo right there in that, turquoise color. If you'll see where it's shaded, that's the enterprise zone. Within Pueblo itself, the city of Pueblo, there are pockets that are not part of the enterprise zone. And that's based off of a lot of different criteria that, we go through to develop those boundaries. A new boundary is, being set now for the next 10 years. So these boundaries are set for 10-year periods. We are developing new boundaries right now that are currently in the process of getting approved by the state. But what this offers is income tax credits to businesses, nonprofits, and individuals that invest in economically distressed areas. The goal is to support job creation, which is huge for us, community revitalization, and local investment. So I think this program can be huge and beneficial for a lot of people. So the features of this is businesses are eligible for state income tax credits and sales and use tax exemptions for specific businesses and investments. And we'll go through a list of more of those different tax credits that are available. Local governments and nonprofits can set up contribution projects. Contribution projects are kind of like my little baby. I love working with nonprofits to help grow those within our community. Recently worked with the Leonardo da Vinci Museum on getting theirs completed. Renewing Steelworks of the West, getting there. So because they're 5-year periods that they can do those contribution projects. But that doesn't mean you can't go another 5 years afterward. The mission just has to be different. The goals have to be different. So working with different nonprofits to work on those developmental goals. And then taxpayers who do contribute to those projects may earn income tax credits also. Our key objectives, obviously business growth, creating quality jobs. Quality is the key word there. Support community projects and promote innovation and housing, tourism, and workforce development. Another big thing that we promote is businesses working together to bring workforce in, tourism, especially, right, because tourism can help out the community all over the place, right? With our hotels, our restaurants, our local business owners, especially in the downtown area. These are the different tax credits and incentives that are eligible. So job training tax credits, new employee tax credits, employer-sponsored health insurance tax credits. So these are all available for those businesses out there that are within the boundaries of the enterprise zone. Research and development tax credit, vacant commercial building rehabilitation tax credit. This is one that I really would love to see more of, because we have a lot of vacant buildings around here in Pueblo that can be revitalized for use. There are stipulations to that, but when you go to the enterprise zone website. There, and really our website, Pueblo Means Business, and I'll get to that later, it does break down the criteria for each of those two. Commercial vehicle investment tax credits, all right, so if you have fleet vehicles, tax credit on that, investment tax credits. For property, investment, and then sales and use tax exemption for manufacturing and mining. So those are the available tax credits and incentives that we do have within this program. Enterprise zone contribution projects, again, this is with those nonprofits that I like to work with. Really, the efforts are to qualify enterprise tax credits on eligible donations. Generally, contribution projects are either capital campaigns or operation campaigns. They can be combined also, so it could be a capital and operation campaign that we do when we do the application. Contribution projects are either capital or just went over that. If a project does not match the types below, the project may still be eligible if it supports specific and documented economic development objectives for the enterprise zone. So how this works is we fill out the application. It goes to a peer review process. So all the other administrators will all meet once a month and approve applications. If there's deficiencies in the application, we discuss it and then we come back the next month with the new application. Now this is a big one. Donors who contribute to these projects can receive 25% tax credit for cash contributions or 12.5% credit for in-kind contributions. Right, whenever you donate, when you have somebody that's donating to your, this is a huge incentive for them to donate to your project because they do get a tax credit for that. Minimum donation amount for qualifying for this credit is $250. It can also be a pledge. So let's say they want to do $20 a month, right? As long as it gets to a maximum or $250, that's fine. They do a pledge, so some people may not have $250 right off the bat, but they do a pledge $20 a month or whatever. That would still qualify for that tax credit. So, this is a fantastic part of the enterprise zone. So if you want to find out more about our enterprise zone, you can go to our Pueblo Means Business Enterprise Zone website. And I do have the QR code there that will take you directly to it. And right now, these are the current boundaries you can see within like closer to the Pueblo area. There are some pockets that are not included. But with this new designation of the boundaries, I have included some of those that aren't included currently. And some have been taken away. So before we look at if your business or your nonprofit is eligible, we want to look at the address to see, make sure that they're within that enterprise zone. So does anybody have any questions on enterprise zone, how it works? I do help with the application process also for the projects to make sure that it gets approved the first time around and not second, third time.
I want to understand maybe offside later when we'll get in the meeting. Two folds, because I work for a nonprofit, I'm also self-employed, so I want to see how that benefits, because I got to take that back to my boss on the nonprofit side. So I was hearing what you talked about the contributions and certain things that we do, and then as well as me being a startup and maneuvering what I'm trying to do to bring business to jobs into Pueblo as well. So.
Perfect, yeah, but then you and I just, give me a call or email me and we can set up a meeting at our office to get that going.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll just add to that, yeah, for the contribution projects, they're awesome. We'd love to get more nonprofits in this program because it's just a great way to incentivize people to give donations to that nonprofit. And for you as a private business owner, I would also encourage you to reach out to whoever prepares your taxes. Because to be honest, we have very few personal business owners that do this. It's mainly the CPAs that are representing those businesses that are like plugged into this, working on it. So if your person isn't already aware of it, that'd be good to
Absolutely.
loop them in.
All right, thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's been a great program. Like you said, it's all over the state. So when I was doing economic development down in Trinidad, we actually were frequently utilizing the vacant building redevelopment funds where people get up to $50,000 towards fixing up the vacant building. And so many old buildings down there, that was the one we utilized the most often, so.
Real quick, I just thought about something, I remember this from some years ago when I came here. Do you guys still have the economic garden? It was kind of, economic development had the stats, it had, like, it was like a business resource that was with the Rollins Library, but when you open it up, it had everything by zone, zip code, cause I had to get the demographics and understanding. I think it was called the Economic Garden Development or Economic Development Garden. I can't remember the name.
I'm not sure. I know that we have a link on our website that's about economic gardening, which is like, yeah, it's a concept for an economic development everywhere. I'm not as familiar with what you're specifically talking about. But PEDCO, who we work with, they do an economic outlook forum every year. And the documents that they include with that provides a lot of that information, and that's available on their website, so we can send that to you as well too.
Perfect. And I was remembering, the Rollins Library, and I don't know if it's just Rollins, there was a huge business resource that just gave like a really detailed, specific breakdown of the businesses here. And, money medians, income medians and all those things, so I was wondering if this is like that or connected in that way as well.
I definitely be a resource that is valuable. Like I said, the closest thing I'm aware of right now to that is this economic outlook forum.
Okay.
Our economic outlook report that is for the forum. And that should be coming out again soon. Normally they do that in November every year. Last year they got snowed out, and they moved it to January. And we ended up still going in like 6 inches of snow, because it snowed on that day too, but. But it's very important. I have a few copies of it in my office, so I also have just forwarded the link on to a few people.
Sweet, thank you.
No problem. Okay, and then the last one that we'll be touching on is the BROC program, and that's the Business Resource Oversight Committee. That's a committee of 6 community members. Some of them from PEDCO, some from local financial advisors, some associated with banks, economic development programs. And they're a board that when somebody's in need of funding but aren't able to receive that funding from a bank, or not able to meet all of that funding from what they can get from a bank, they can come to the BROC program and request funds. The 2 biggest things that I would say to be aware of with this program is it is only available to businesses located within the county. It is not available to businesses located within the city. They get their own CBDG funds that they use for housing improvement programs. And so, and the rules with the CBDG funds is you can't have spillover. Like if you're receiving the funding for one thing, you can't get it from somebody else to do the other. So I think that's actually our biggest complaint about the program is there's way more businesses in the city than there are in the county. And it's just too bad when we have somebody in the city that has something we'd like to be able to fund and work with them to support that, and they just can't do it because of this restriction of funding. The other thing about it is they will not approve a loan unless they can prove that they went to a bank first and were turned down by the bank. And this is just a way of us making sure we're not competing with banks. We want the banks locally to be the ones that have the ability to work with these folks, and we just don't want to be taking potential clients from banks. We're just the people they come to if they can't help them, but still want to see that project go through. So even if somebody does come to us and they want a loan and they haven't been to a bank, our first thing we say is go to your local banks and see if anybody will support you. Yeah.
I just want to make a comment. So they only loan to the people if you live in the county.
Yeah.
Okay,
Actually,
so-
not if you live in the county, if your business is registered in the county.
Okay, because you know, all your renovations and all the buildings that are historic,
Mhm.
are not in county.
Well, yeah, and so these are two separate programs.
Okay,
So the business, the vacant business program, that's enterprise zone.
okay.
And that's available anywhere that is within the enterprise zone, and that can be in the city or the county. I think that's one of the things that's kind of tricky about our division in general is just some of our programs are for the county, some of them are for everything. Like our ambassador program, the first one I talked on, like that's what we have built is specifically for the county. But for that one, if anyone calls us from the city and they're struggling with the project in the city, we'll still help them. We're just not like assigned to their permit in the same way we are for projects in the county. The enterprise zone, doesn't matter if you're in the county or in the city, but you have to be within the zones. Yeah, if you're not located into one of those areas that's been determined as eligible for that tax credit program, we can help you regardless of where you are. Then the BROC program, which is this loan program, is the one that's only available within the county, not available at all, available at all within the city. So, yeah,
But the city has their own CDBG.
yes, but it's not for business loan, contributions or a business loan fund. It is specifically through their housing program. And it's a way that they can, grant people money for like sidewalk improvements, for things that are beneficial for the whole community, but are like the responsibility of like an individual homeowner. And I actually should learn more about that program. I don't know a whole lot about it, so I can't speak too much on it. And in the past, we've really wanted to figure out a way that we can also make this program available in the city, but it's just, we haven't been able to, so. Yeah,
And for the loan program, is it only for businesses that are up and starting? Or is it maybe
it can be a startup.
Is on expanding or?
Yep, yeah, it can be an existing business, it can be a new business.
And does it have to be for like, could it be for any business expenses or does it have to be for certain business like development?
Well, yeah, and I'll touch more on that as I get a little bit further into it. The biggest key to this is you have to be able to prove that by receiving these funds, you are creating new employees. Yeah, and those employees have to make a living wage. Like it has to be that you're not bringing on like a bunch of part-time people that you're not paying very well. It's specifically that you're bringing on employees and you're paying them a wage that they can live on. And so there's more direct information on what that is, and honestly, that's the most difficult thing is.
Is there a cap on the wage that you're paying them?
Yes, I don't remember exactly what it is right now. I normally. When I've dealt with programs like this in the past, it has to be above whatever the AMI is within your community. So if you're living in a more economically distressed community, it's lower than if you're living in like Denver. Like if you're in Denver, it's gotta be like 70,000 or above. If you're in Trinidad, it's like 30,000 or above. But the idea is they don't wanna be responsible for lowering what that AMI is in your community. Their goal is to be bringing up the AMI and making sure that people in that community are earning more wages than they currently are. And I also will apologize that though I helped coordinate this program, it's not actually ran by the county or Pueblo Means Business specifically. This program, the funding for it is only available when they have a county partner to receive those funds and to oversee those funds. But we have to partner with a community nonprofit who's actually in charge of administering those funds and running the program. And we partner with NeighborWorks of Southern Colorado as the agency that actually takes the loan requests, reviews their financials, takes it to the board for approval, and then helps report on those funds and how they're affecting the company.
So to allocate money, let's say for instance, you have an organization that's not only, that is in the county and in the city.
Mhm.
How do you allocate that money to accommodate the organization? So
Yeah, that is actually one we run into sometimes. That is like, there isn't really a clear answer on that. The direction that I have given people is. You do have to have at least one of your locations registered in the county, not in the city. And I encourage them to try and make sure whatever expenses they're extending are being spent for improvements within the county building, even if that means their other financials are disproportionately going towards their project in the city. You just want to try and create a clear paper trail that the money that you're giving are benefiting the county business more than the city business. But what you do with your personal business funds within that isn't for us to determine. So that's the answer we're giving people, because there isn't really a clear answer on it, but that's my suggestion. So yeah, like I said, we do the gap loan fund, so if you all do find somebody you want to lend to, but you can't meet all their needs, you can come to the Brock program and request funding to meet that, and hopefully that gets them to where they need to be. I'm trying to, sorry, I didn't actually make these slides, so I'm making sure I'm not forgetting anything important. I made the first couple, I didn't make the Brock ones. And yeah, I think that's most of what we need there. Oh, actually, it does say they will not provide loans for certain types of businesses such as marijuana, e-cigarettes, gambling, adult entertainment, pyramid, businesses, liquor, or illegal activities. So basically, if you're in the vice industry, they won't support that. And the biggest one that I touched on already is they will not compete against traditional lending institutes. So they have to go to a regular lending institute and provide a denial letter to us before we'll consider them for lending. And the loans here, they're not like extremely low interest rate, they're plus or minus 2 of New York prime rates. So whatever is like current standards, they can either go 2% below or 2% above that, depending on what the business is. Yeah, the biggest thing is if you know anybody who could benefit from these funds, direct them to us, because if we aren't lending this money, we're not going to continue receiving it. And
lose it.
yeah, exactly. So we need to have folks who are utilizing this program so that when we report, we can show that it is moving through the community. And if we aren't doing that, then when we go for renewal, they'll just say, well, you don't need this money, so we're not going to continue giving it. And the goal is to bring underqualified small business owners to a place in which they could get a traditional loan through you. So the whole goal is to get it so they are able to work with the banks in the long run. Loan amounts can be between $10,000 and $250,000, and you can get more information on that link or using that QR code. I was going to bring these flyers, but they're actually out of date, so I didn't bring them. So if you have any specific questions, reach out to me through my card, and I can connect you with the folks who can help. And that is all we have for right now. Like I said, we're available to help with any of these programs. The biggest message we want to get out there is if you have any developers who are coming in town and wanting to invest in this community, and you feel like we can help them in any way, just send them our way, because that's the biggest thing we can just try and reassure people that Pueblo is a great place to invest, and that there is support mechanisms put into our infrastructure to help them through the process.
So this information that you need is what you presented today, correct?
Yes, I believe so. I hope so. The biggest thing with the handouts is just the loan representative who was on that is no longer with them. So there's just contact information for the wrong person. And so I just didn't want to give that to you and have you reach out to them and give that dead number or whatever. So, but yes, we are still working on NeighborWorks with it. I'm actually going to retreat on the Brock program Monday through Wednesday next week, and hopefully we'll learn even more about it. But and yeah, I've been working with the Brock program since I came on here, but previously in Trinidad, we also worked with OPI, which is a very similar organization, but they did lending for Otero County and Los Animas County. And so it was the same thing, just not Pueblo specific.
So how how's it balanced between your company and Petco? Is there like a limitation? Is there like a great partnership with,
Yeah, we get along well with Petco, and Petco is more, responsible for recruitment of new businesses. So they're going to trade shows, they're going to, prospect, seminars of large scale businesses, primary job providers who are looking for communities to build a factory, a manufacturing plant, something like that. And specifically, which right now is the controversial thing with Petco, is that since their founding, they are dedicated to finding primary job businesses. So they're not necessarily out there looking for a Costco, they're not looking for new restaurants, new retail, because those, in most cases are businesses that they come into the community, you purchase from them, and then they send they send that community money elsewhere.
Back to the.
Because that's where the owners of that business is, the investors of that business are. So it's not like the best form of economic development. Not to say there aren't like some benefits to it, like quality of life, people wanting to live in a community that has the resources that they want. But Petco is specifically created to bring in businesses that create products that we then sell outside of this community. So we're bringing money in rather than out. So Petco, their funding doesn't come from state or federal organizations. It comes from public taxpayers, it's from the sales tax.
It's too late.
yeah,
It's the half cent sales tax. So every thing you buy within the city of Pueblo, for every dollar, half a penny goes into Petco, where they can then incentivize people to come and build businesses here. Where these programs, the enterprise zone program, comes from state funding. So it's basically for people who pay state taxes, they can get tax credits on that, where they don't have to pay taxes for everything they're purchasing. And the Brock program actually comes from federal funding. The federal government provides these community development block grants that then these organizations allocate out to the community. Pueblo Means Business is actually a division of Pueblo County. So our salaries, us personally, we're also funded by local taxes, but your property taxes that you're paying towards the county. And we're not responsible for recruiting new businesses, and that is a Petco function, and we support Petco with that and try and help wherever we can. But whenever somebody does come here, Petco, it's not their job to walk people through getting their building built and to help them. They go and they find people, they bring them in, and they hand them off
yeah.
to these agencies to like get the permits, everything. And that was the complaint, was they'd bring people in and then all of a sudden they'd be getting calls from people being like, I don't know what I'm doing here, like nobody's helping me, like I don't know where I need to get this. I started building this building, all of a sudden I'm told I don't have road access to it. And so we're the ones that try and hold their hands while they go through that process. And the biggest thing is that I just keep trying to reiterate is we try and catch problems before they become detrimental, before they either slow down a project, because it may cost you money to get your road access permit, but it costs you a lot more money to have a bunch of builders like sitting around, eating up your costs while you're trying to fix that problem. And so we're trying to make it so that they know that problem immediately, they can fix that problem immediately, and we can expedite the whole project and in the end save them a lot of money.
That's good, because if there's no growth, there's no business.
Yeah.
And
What-
vice versa.
One thing that attracted me here when I moved here was I'd always been an entrepreneur, I had a mindset. But the one thing that I think I haven't heard, and there was a young lady that worked at the BTC when it was called the BTC back in the day. It was the incubator program. Because I came through the original incubator program. That's why I had to understand a lot of those things. I don't know if you guys still do that, but that was what they had all the checklists before I could even come into the business. Cause when I wanted to start my company, I couldn't just go and say, hey, I wanna pay rent because I wanna put a technology company here.
Yeah.
Like, nope. You have to have all these things checked off. So I had to go to zoning, I had to walk to the fire, I had to go everywhere
Yeah.
to make sure I checked off. I had to have a business plan. I had to have a 3-year projection.
Mhm.
So is that in this program as well?
That is not in this program.
Probably should be.
Well, the idea, right now, the organization that is most involved with that function is the SBDC.
Okay,
So-
yeah, I had to check out with SBTC, I had to go to school, I had to have, everything I had to do, I had to have some type of mentorship, I couldn't just start, I wanted to start my
Yeah.
business, but it was a great
You
business.
do the business plan that has approved by the
Yes.
SBDC. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, and actually Pedco, I should learn more about this program, but they do also have, they're located within an incubator.
right, that's where I started,
Yeah.
like my offices were still in the
In that
Petco building.
Great. So, yeah, so that is still available to an extent, it's not really within our division, and, I'm not 100% opposed to us taking that on, we probably need to continue building up our staff, in order to do that, but. No, I have built business incubators before, and I think they can be a huge help, like,
Yeah.
if you have the support you need. But yes, right now, it's the SBDC that's more involved with that business coaching role and helping people, line up everything they need to do to start a new business. Where Pueblo Means Business with, yeah, part of it's like a little bit confusing.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, BTC didn't actually do it, they were the
They gave
holder
the
of my
checklist.
office with the checklist, and if you wanted to
Yeah.
get that discounted rent here, which was, I think my rent was like $100 a month.
Yeah,
So if you want that discounted rent, you have to go through all these steps, so I had to go to school, SBDC, everywhere, go over the business plan, sit down and talk, and then they quarterly made me go over my projections to stay there and keep that rent rate. I
yeah,
don't know, I mean, I haven't seen that program lately, but like I said, I've been there 12 years now, but I thought it was a very good program.
Yeah.
So you don't fail by yourself, or I shouldn't say fail by yourself, but it reduced the chances of you failing.
mhm. I've helped with two programs similar to that before, one was like a business. Rental and utility assistance program where like a business could come to us. And if they met certain criteria, like they had to be open 6 days a week, they had to be open this many hours. Man, I wish I could remember what all of them were, they had to be a complementary business, so they couldn't be like somebody that's moving on to the same block as somebody that does the exact same thing. But if they met all those demands, we were able to provide them with rental assistance to basically pay up to like $300 of their rent each month. For 2 years until they got ready to do it on their own. And then we also had another program that we did in Trinidad, that was an incubator program. Where people came in. And over the span of 2 years, their rent would increase. So their first like 3 months there, they actually weren't paying any rent at all, they could just be in this building trying to build a business. Then it progressed up after 3 months, and every quarter would go up a little bit until like 2 years. They were at like the cost of what it would cost to rent that place.
Yes.
But the one thing we did with that program, and I ended up leaving before any of them got to this point, because I moved up here, was, after 2 years, the rent still kept going up. With the idea of,
Yeah, push you out of there.
yeah, push you out, move you into the community, we're not taking all these businesses and keeping them in this space. It also helped us subsidize the cost of giving discounted rates to everybody else. And it opened up a space for one business to come in, so nobody just moved in and stayed in that incubator space for forever, so.
Yep.
Well, we thank you for your presentation.
Oh, yeah, thank you all, and again,
Very informative.
actually, I didn't get you one of my cards, I don't think.
No.
But let me give you one, and then if you guys have any questions or thoughts or anything, or just wanna connect, feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, let's give it up for, Wally and Josh.
Thank you all for coming, we appreciate it, and, yeah, again, if you